The United States is pausing all new student and exchange visitor visa interviews, which covers a broad swath of professions, from doctors to camp counselors, while it studies how to expand screening of applicants' social media posts, according to a State Department cable obtained by the NewsHour and signed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Earlier this week, the State Department ordered U.S. embassies to stop scheduling new student visa appointments while they expand a way to screen foreign students' social media. And you'll never guess who wants to lead this effort. This from CBS News. In a cable dated Tuesday and obtained by CBS News, Secretary of State Marco Rubio instructed diplomatic posts not to add any more appointments for student and foreign exchange visas in preparation for the expanded vetting, and to take any unfulfilled appointments off their calendars. This pause will last until further guidance is issued in the next few days. The State Department is preparing for an expansion of required social media screening and vetting, and all student visa applicants could be subject to social media checks, according to the cable. This extra screening would have significant implications for embassies and consulate operations, making a pause on new appointments necessary, the cable said. It's not exactly clear what they're screening for. I'm sure we can all imagine, but according to Politico, it alludes to executive orders to keep out terrorists and battle anti-Semitism. Pretty vague, but we kind of know what they're getting at. And there's one key figure in Trump's inner circle that is literally begging for the job, and that is Laura Loomer. This is what she posted on X. The White House is considering doing vetting on the social media accounts of foreign students. Sounds like a dream job for me. I would love to research foreign students all day and find an excuse to block them from coming into our country based on their radicalism. Sign me up. And surprisingly, she has some support, specifically from former View host Meghan McCain, who responded to Loomer's tweet and said, legit, give her this job. Okay, Jordan, we'll start with you this time. What do you make of this? I can imagine what we're looking for whenever they say we're gonna start screening social media profiles of all these people who are trying to come here on student visas and as foreign exchange students. And it is really devastating. I think it's gonna have a significant impact on just like the overall makeup of our school systems and our economy and all the students who are trying to come over here. Of course, that is the intended result, right? They want to see a significant impact. They want to see less of these people coming over. They want any excuse they can to get rid of these people. If we can't get rid of all the migrants, we can stop some of them from coming over here, even the ones who are doing so legitimately and legally. So this is all pretty crazy to me. What do you think?
I mean, it says a lot about Meghan McCain. It says more about her than it does Laura Loomer. We already knew Laura Loomer was a bigot and a xenophobe. So nothing new there that would give her maybe the first job of her adult life. It just seems like she is a professional hanger-on. She just kind of gloms on to whatever white nationalist figure or fringe political figure she can get her hands on. But Meghan McCain never had to work for anything. She, by her own definition, is a proud Nepo baby. And now she's cheering on one of the most notable bigots for this job, who, mind you, has taken shots at Meghan McCain's late father for bucking Trump. So it's very confusing. At first I thought it was a joke, and then I had to go check for myself. But no, she's sincere. That is who she's become. So for a while, people were treating her as some kind of sensible moderate. No, she is just like them. She has become what she purported to hate.
Yeah, I did think it was weird whenever Meghan McCain was like seen as teetering some invisible line. I was like, in what world? Like, no, she's never been that person. Sharon, what do you think?
I would say Meghan McCain has lost her way, but I don't know if she's ever had it. I don't. Her father was someone, whether you agreed with his policies or didn't, stood up for what he believed in, bucked authority. He was mocked for that. The Maverick, remember that nickname? She is just someone who is pointing to derelicts in our society, haters in our society. I don't know why there's been this overtness to her behavior in recent years. I suspect she has a little bit of that Megyn Kelly syndrome, where She flamed out with mainstream friends who all go to the same cocktail parties and hang out on The View. And she feels ostracized and she's angry. She's very angry. And I just think, I don't like to speak on people's relationships with their families. She should be proud of her father. I don't know if he were alive today, if he would be proud of her behaviors.
Yeah, I think it is interesting because especially for somebody who is in such a public position, is she still on The View? I don't know, I can't keep up, but she is, constantly, she's not, okay. So she's constantly trying to maintain her relevancy. And if she's doing so on social media, this is how you do it, because we're talking about her right now on this show. So, well, now Laura Loomer is trying to prove to Secretary of State Marco Rubio that she is apparently up for the job by doing her own vetting of sorts. In addition to pausing student visa appointments, Marco Rubio announced that the US would be revoking visas of Chinese students, specifically including those with connections to the CCP or studying critical fields, to which Loomer responded with this. She said, let's go, deport Xi Jinping's daughter. She lives in Massachusetts and went to Harvard. Sources tell me PLA guards from the CCP provide her with private security on US soil in Massachusetts. Xi Jinping's daughter, Xi Mingzi, graduated from Harvard in 2014. However, there is no publicly available evidence that she remains in the United States. The New Yorker reported in 2015 that after graduating from Harvard University, Xi Mingzi returned to China and has maintained a low profile ever since. So if Laura Loomer is getting her information wrong about that, whoever her sources are who are telling her that this girl is still in Massachusetts with CCP security, what's to say that she'll get information wrong, that she won't do so again about any other foreign student? But as we've seen with this administration, they don't really care so much about having competent people in roles, right? As long as you're close to Trump, you can get a role. And we all know that Laura Loomer is about as close as you can get to Donald Trump. So why wouldn't she get this job, Also, before I get to you guys, I do want to say it is very sad because a lot of people that I know personally have just gotten off of social media completely. They work in like the medical field, they work in tech, things like that, but they're worried and they have reason to be worried because they've heard things about things that have happened to other people that they work with where their social media accounts were looked at by management or whoever. And there was action taken against them because of that. So in the world of I guess my question is, Sharon, I'll ask you, are we living in a post-free speech world and we're all just like not ready to admit that yet?
Yeah, and we've been in varying degrees of it since probably before, but absolutely since 9/11 and the freedoms from a scared America, rightfully so, were just stripped away, okay, without due process. Now it's just bananas, it's gone, okay? You hear about reporters going over to Beijing and being followed and quarantined and watched carefully and social media checked or blocked, satellites going down. It's here, okay? And I suspect that Donald Trump perhaps is already pressuring little Marco Rubio to hire this woman. He probably already is. Will she start the vetting with those from Sweden maybe? Or the Afrikaners who were fast tracked and given citizenship here? I don't think so. It's a very dangerous thing, but this is what happens when our hands are full, public, America, world. But this is what happens when we cede our rights, cede our voices, and allow these dictators to impose their will.
Yeah, what do you think, Jordan?
I don't need to sell this audience on the benefits of a diverse educational setting. I think we all recognize, respect, and appreciate a diverse classroom. You learn more, you gain new experiences, you hear different perspectives. So we're all on the same page. But I think there's something that you pointed out, Yaz, that I wanted to pick up on. And that is the chilling effect that while this starts here, it has rippled throughout other industries. People are scared, and that's not right. And on the social media front, there was a horrifying story in The Intercept recently about how the government wants to centralize all of the commercially available data on all of us so that the intelligence community, but also departments like DHS and ICE outside of the intelligence community, so they would all have access to all of our information, all of our data that our apps, advertising trackers, all of these aggregators collect, centralize it, and then they want to do sentiment analysis and try to determine what specific people think or feel about specific issues. And when you have somebody like who you're talking to or who you're talking about, people in different fields, maybe they're here on a visa, maybe they're here on a green card, maybe they are legally allowed to be here and are a permanent resident, but they might not be a citizen, simply for violating a thought crime or committing a thought crime in the eyes of this administration. This portal, I could see that being used to identify people who are not in lockstep with the Trump administration and deporting them. And that is wrong. We need to think about the long-term consequences of what our country would look like if this continues, but also like what we can do in this moment to stop it. And I don't have a whole lot of faith in the Democrats to do that, but thankfully there are some people, credit to Ron Wyden, who has been consistent on this front. No, this type of mass collection, mass surveillance violates the Fourth Amendment, and we need more people to step up and join them.
It's also going to make the private sector, if I may, very rich. It's not just going to be, oh, let's pull this data. It's going to make someone super rich. It's not going to be proven or tested very well. And that's part of the plan too. This is marketing gold if you can figure this out. It's not just scary for cronies and people who pay for dinners at $1 million a plate. This is genius. If you think they run the tables now, I mean, it's genius.
Yeah, I mean, it's all marketing, isn't it, right? I am so sick in this modern era of being advertised to just constantly, just nonstop ads, to the point where I've taken most social media apps off of my phone. I know that they already have like so much information on me. I know that my face is on YouTube everywhere, but like I can't deal with it anymore. I don't want to be on there anymore. I don't post very much. I posted today on my social media story, but just about like my quilt that I made, but
it's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, but either way, it's an interesting landscape that we're creating for ourselves. And as Jordan pointed out, the long-term consequences of everything that's happening now. I know that the Trump administration has only been here for a few months, right? 5 months so far. The damage that they have done is going to have very long-term consequences. But a lot of politicians, they don't seem to really think that far in advance, right? They do things, they lay a lot of groundwork for certain things, but for other things, they just say, you know what, we're just gonna do this. And then if the Democrats aren't fighting back hard enough, we are stuck with a lot of these things for a long time, right? What is the future that we're trying to build for this country? What kind of infrastructure are we trying to lay? And is it the one that is actively being laid? A lot of people think, oh, just 4 years of Trump and we can get through it, we'll get over it, blah, 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 we'll get somebody else after these 4 years, but no. And every time there is a new president or a new administration or a new Congress, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to undo things from the previous administration, if ever at all. Like we remember whenever Joe Biden was in the office, and he couldn't get the what was his name, Louis DeJoy, out of the postmaster general position. So little things like that. That's a very minor example, but it just proves my point. So
every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.